I am 29-year-old female and I have been dating my boyfriend Thomas, 28 years old male, for 2 years. We were friends for 7 years before we started dating. Thomas has a female best friend called Marie, 27 years old female, and I am not comfortable with their friendship, so I asked Thomas to stop having contact with her, and he got mad and told me I was manipulative. Background: I was friends with Thomas for a long time. Suddenly, he met Marie, and they quickly became best friends. They were always together and she called them platonic soulmates. I already didn't like her back then. It was almost impossible to see Thomas without Marie. About 5 years ago, Marie moved to another city, 4 hours away by train from our city. She almost convinced Thomas to follow her, but he ended up staying, mainly for his family and his brother. It was great to spend time with Thomas without her. He slowly lost contact with Marie, then infection 19 happened and they stopped talking. He never had the chance to visit her in her new city. Like I said, I started dating Thomas 2 years ago. I confessed that I had a crush on him for a long time, and he gave me a chance. We're doing great and we have been living together for over a year. I want to marry him one day and I think he wants the same. But this summer, Marie contacted Thomas again when she was in our city to visit her family. Thomas went to see her, even if I didn't like it. I said nothing because I know that he really missed her. I didn't see her. Since then, they're calling each other from time to time. Thomas is always happy after talking to her, so I still didn't say anything. Marie is coming to our city again for Christmas, so Thomas is planning to see her again. I'm still not complaining, but she asked if he wanted to go back to her city with her after Christmas to spend New Year with her. Thomas said yes right away and was really excited when he told me, but I said no right away for 3 reasons. 1. I'm not even included in the plan. He wants to spend New Year with her and without me. 2. I don't want him to be alone with her in her apartment, even if Marie is now married. I don't trust her around my boyfriend, and I know having a husband won't stop her. 3. We already have plans with my friends, so I told Thomas he couldn't go and that we planned to spend the New Year together. He was really mad and told me it was important to him because he never had the chance to visit Marie in her new city since she moved, and it's a bigger city than ours, and he really wanted to spend time with her. I got mad too, and I told him I was really hurt by his attitude, and I didn't like how Marie made him act, and I wasn't comfortable with their friendship, and if he really loves me, he should care about my feelings and stop talking to her. When I said that, he called me manipulative and told me I always had a problem with the people he loves. Then he left and we didn't talk since then because he's at his brother's place. So do you think am I the jerk for getting mad at my boyfriend because of his relationship with his best friend? Edit. I'm adding something I wrote in the comments because it is important, and I should have said it from the start. I think I should have said it in my post, but Thomas and Marie were not 100% platonic when she still lived in our city. They had intercourse with the same guy twice, because Thomas is bi, and even if Thomas swears he didn't do anything with Marie, I still don't want them to be alone. Sorry, edit 2. Thank you everyone for your comments. At first people were really against me and considering me controlling, but I feel like more people understand my point now. I admit I shouldn't have said I wanted him to cut ties with her. I tried to answer all the questions I saw. I will come back tomorrow to read what I missed because it's really late where I am. I'm not American. But really thank you again, I feel better now. But I know I need to have a talk with Thomas. I'm not planning to break up, at least for now. Good night. Edit 3. I wrote a small update. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here. Your boyfriend is a jerk for immediately agreeing to the New Year's thing when you all already had plans with other people. Although, it sounds like you're jealous of this woman, distrustful of your boyfriend, and trying to control him, all to an unhealthy degree. In addition, a relationship needs trust to survive, and either you trust him or you don't. If you can't trust him now, with his friend, there will inevitably be situations in the future where the two of you are apart for a while and you're going to have doubts about him. Comment 2. So Thomas had a threesome with Marie back when they were friends, and now she wants him to come visit her and stay with her. I think Thomas is more into Marie than into you. You say you want to marry him and you think he feels the same. I think you need to start packing your things. Thomas and you are not on the same page. You can't make him love you and not cheat, so why put yourself through that? Tell him to have a good trip. You will be moved out when he gets back. Move, block, move on. Now, for the update. A lot has happened since I last shared my story. I guess I should start with the fact that Thomas and I had a long, intense conversation after he spent a few days at his brother's place. It was one of those talks where you lay everything out on the table, no holding back. I told him how I felt about Marie, about us, and about our future. He listened, really listened, and then he shared his side. He talked about his friendship with Marie, how it was a different kind of bond than what we have, and how he didn't want to lose that part of his life. We went back and forth for hours, and I won't lie, there were tears and moments where I thought we might not make it through. But we did. We agreed to a compromise. Thomas would still visit Marie, but he would go for one day only, and he would come back to celebrate New Year's with me and our friends. I wasn't thrilled, but I could live with it. The day he went to visit Marie, I was a nervous wreck. I kept imagining all sorts of scenarios, none of them good. But when he came back, he was different. He was quieter, more thoughtful. He told me that seeing Marie had made him realize how much he had changed, how much we had grown together. He said that while he still valued her friendship, it wasn't the same as it used to be. That was a relief, but it also made me feel a little guilty for doubting him. Things were good for a while. We celebrated New Year's with my friends, and Thomas was the life of the party. We laughed, we danced, and for a moment, it felt like everything was perfect. But life has a way of throwing curveballs. A few weeks later, Thomas got a call from Marie's husband. Marie had been in an accident. It wasn't life-threatening, but she was in the hospital with a broken leg and some other injuries. Thomas was torn up about it. He wanted to go see her, to be there for her, and I understood that, but it also brought back all those old insecurities. We had another long talk, and this time, it was even harder. I realized that my fear of losing Thomas to Marie was affecting our relationship. It wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't fair to me. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I told Thomas to go to her, to be with his friend when she needed him. He was shocked, but he saw the sincerity in my eyes. Thomas went to visit Marie, and he stayed with her for a few days. I won't pretend it was easy for me. I spent those days with a knot in my stomach, wondering if I had made a huge mistake. But when Thomas came back, he was more committed to us than ever. He said that being there for Marie had made him realize how important our relationship was to him. He didn't want to do anything to jeopardize what we had. Since then, things have been better. Not perfect, but better. Thomas and I are learning to trust each other more, to communicate better. We're planning a trip together, just the two of us, to reconnect and build new memories. As for Marie, she's recovering well, and she and Thomas still talk, but it's different now. There's a distance there that wasn't there before, a recognition that some things have changed. It's bittersweet, I guess. I'm relieved that the threat I felt from her is gone, but I also see the sadness in Thomas's eyes sometimes when he talks about her. I've learned a lot about myself through all of this. I've learned that love isn't about holding on so tight that the other person can't breathe. It's about trust, about giving each other space to grow, and about being there for each other through the good times and the bad. So, that's where we are now. Thomas and I are moving forward, taking it one day at a time. And Marie, well, she'll always be a part of Thomas's life, but I'm learning to be okay with that. It's not the neat, tidy resolution I might have wanted, but it's real, and it's ours. And maybe that's enough. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, it sounds like you're in a tough spot. Have you considered couples counseling? It might help you both communicate better and address the trust issues head-on. Plus, it's a neutral space where you can both share your feelings without it turning into a fight. Comment 2. I get where you're coming from. It's hard not to feel threatened, but it's great that you're trying to trust Thomas. Remember, relationships are about growth and compromise. Keep working on that trust, and maybe find a hobby to distract you when he's visiting Marie. It's all about balance. Now, for the next story. I feel bad, but also really wanting to stand my ground here. Basically, I, 30-year-old female, was raised by a single dad, 60-year-old male, since really young, and we have always had a great relationship. I became a single mom to my 2 kids, 5 and 3-year-old females. When I was still pregnant with my youngest, we sadly lost their dad and my soulmate to a horrific accident. It's one of those things that will haunt me for a long time, sadly. Backstory is important here, I feel. Anyway, since he died, life's been extremely challenging and hard for me and my girls, but my dad's been the backbone and support we have all needed. He met his girlfriend not long after I had my youngest, and they have never lived together due to leading very different lives, but they have always seemed happy with that arrangement. A year ago now, I lost our family home due to the landlord's death and the remaining family selling up. My dad straight away offered us to stay at his since he had the space, and he seemed really excited about the idea of it all, especially being able to see his grandkids often. I questioned him at the time how his girlfriend felt, and he assured me she was okay with it since they spent all their time together the night at hers anyway, or in hotels for her work. So I went ahead and moved in. Now here's where the problems not only start to come out but end epically. From the first week we moved in, his girlfriend was always popping round for really random reasons, even when he wasn't at home himself. I didn't mind at first because I knew he had given her a key, so as long as he trusted her, I did. But after a few months I started to get annoyed, especially when she came round when he wasn't there, because it felt like she was just judging me on my life and parenting with snide remarks. She also kept asking when I would move on from my partner and kept referring to him as an ex. A few weeks ago now, where I live, we had a big holiday that involves lots of fireworks. It was a lovely time between me and my girls, and we all came away in good spirits. We were walking home when my eldest just stated that her dad would have loved it as well. I agreed readily but did choke up slightly, but I managed to hide my sadness pretty quickly because it definitely broke my heart again slightly. I got home, put the girls to bed, and the moment I was alone and it was quiet, I just broke down. My dad came down and found me just ugly sobbing. He put a blanket around me and we just sat on the sofa for a good while not saying anything. He was just hugging me and letting me cry. I must have fallen asleep because next thing I know, I could hear him speaking quietly on the phone to someone. I stayed still for a moment and was just about to sit up when his voice got very angry sounding, and he just suddenly said goodnight and ended the call. When asked what's wrong, he just said he and his girlfriend had a disagreement and it will blow over. We had one last hug again, and I went to my room. Next thing I know, my phone is blowing up with texts from his girlfriend, accusing me of all sorts, from using my dad's money to even accusing me of inbreeding and having feelings for my dad. I'll admit I just lost it. I just sent an angry message back saying, "Don't you dare ever come near me or my family again," and stormed back to my dad, shoving my phone with her messages in his face and saying the same to him, that I never want her near us again. Now it's been a few days and the feeling in the entire house is heavy and awkward. I've not heard from her since, so I'm not overly sure it's gone down. I feel guilty for exploding though. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. His girlfriend is not okay with you being in his life, let alone his house. Change the locks. Pay rent. Make it official that this is your house. She is looking to get his house and his assets. You are in her way. Comment 2. No, she is a terrible and disgusting person for even suggesting some things, and she sounds toxic and terrible for your dad. It's hard to believe she has a heart, not the idiot. Now, for the update. A lot has happened since I last reached out, and I've been on an emotional roller coaster. I've been trying to navigate life with my girls and my dad, but things have taken some unexpected turns. After the blow-up with my dad's girlfriend, things got really tense at home. My dad was quiet, and I could tell he was caught between a rock and a hard place. He loves his girlfriend, but he also loves his family, and I could see the strain it was putting on him. I felt terrible for being the cause of that strain, but I also knew I had to protect my girls and myself from her toxic behavior. For a few days, we all walked on eggshells. My dad would leave early in the morning and come back late, avoiding any serious conversation. I tried to give him space, but it was hard not to feel abandoned in my own home. The girls picked up on the tension too. They started acting out, and I was at my wits' end, trying to keep everything together. Then, one evening, my dad came home with a look on his face that I hadn't seen in a long time. He sat me down and told me that he and his girlfriend had decided to take a break. He said that the argument they had over the phone that night I overheard was about her behavior towards me and the girls. He had tried to defend us, and things had escalated from there. I felt a mix of relief and guilt. I didn't want to be the reason they were having problems, but I also couldn't deny the relief of not having to deal with her passive-aggressive comments and judgment anymore. My dad reassured me that he wasn't choosing sides, but that he needed to figure things out for himself. The next few days were a bit better. My dad started spending more time at home, and we began to fall back into our old routine. He was more present with the girls, and I could see the positive effect it had on them. We even had a movie night, just the four of us, and it felt like old times. But just when I thought we were getting back to normal, another curveball was thrown our way. My dad sat me down again, this time with a serious look on his face. He told me that his girlfriend had been going through some personal issues that he hadn't been aware of. She had been struggling with her mental health and had been projecting a lot of her insecurities onto me and my situation. I didn't know how to feel. On one hand, I was angry that she had taken her issues out on me, but on the other hand, I felt empathy for her. Mental health is no joke, and I knew that better than anyone after losing my partner and dealing with the aftermath. My dad asked me if I would be willing to sit down with her and talk things out. He believed that if we could clear the air, it might help her with her healing process. I was hesitant at first, but I agreed. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I also knew that holding on to anger wouldn't help anyone. The meeting was set for the end of the week. I spent the days leading up to it preparing myself mentally and emotionally. I wanted to stand my ground but also offer support if I could. The day of the meeting came, and I was a bundle of nerves. We sat down at the kitchen table, my dad, his girlfriend, and me. It started off tense, with her apologizing for her behavior and me accepting her apology, but also expressing how her actions had affected me and my girls. We talked for what felt like hours, and as we did, something unexpected happened. She started to open up about her struggles, and I found myself relating to her more than I thought I would. We both had our demons, and while they were different, they were also very much the same. By the end of the conversation, we had both cried and laughed, and I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. We agreed to start fresh, and while I was cautious, I was also hopeful. But just when I thought we had reached a turning point, my dad dropped a bombshell. He confessed that the real reason he had been so distant wasn't just because of the tension between his girlfriend and me. He had been diagnosed with a serious health condition and had been trying to come to terms with it on his own. I was shocked. All this time, I had been so wrapped up in my own problems that I hadn't seen the signs. My dad, my rock, needed me, and I hadn't been there for him. The revelation brought us all closer together. My dad's girlfriend offered to help in any way she could, and I realized that maybe she wasn't the enemy I had made her out to be. We were all just people trying to navigate the complexities of life and relationships. Now, we're all working together to support my dad through his treatment. The girls are happier, and the house feels like a home again. It's funny how life can throw you curveballs, but it's how you catch them that really matters. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, I'm really sorry you're going through this. It's tough enough being a single mom without the added stress of dealing with someone's insensitive comments. Your feelings are totally valid, and it's understandable that you lost your temper. Remember, it's important to set boundaries for the sake of your and your daughter's well-being. Comment 2. It sounds like you've been through a lot, and it's crucial to find a healthy way to cope. Maybe consider family counseling. It could help improve communication and address the tension. Plus, it's a safe space to express your feelings without things escalating. Take care of yourself too. You're doing great. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.